Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty. Hello guys. Assalamu alaikum. This is Mevishir. How is everyone? I hope you're having a fabulous weekend. Uh, Better? Yes, it's working. So we are ready to have a live stream once again, guys. Welcome to my podcast of inspiring stories. And today I'm welcoming someone who is wanting to come forward and share her story and tell you the impact of emotional abuse, things that we take so lightly, things that we think are not important, things that we think shouldn't be talked about, things that we think are okay because of so many generations of silence. And we're going to talk about it, how it has affected me, her, everybody right now in this space. And for those of you who are joining in for the first time, guys, welcome to my podcast. And if you have a story, if you have a voice, if you have something that can add value to anyone's life, if you feel that you do, send me a DM. Let me bring you on my podcast and we will talk about what is important to you and why you want to share your story in my space. I do not see uh, her online. So I will just have to wait for her to. Let me send her a message actually. Let me bring her in. I actually forgot her. I actually forgot her handle. But, anyways, let's talk a little about something I am bringing together for you guys. Since we're waiting for my guest, guys, I am super excited because I'm working really hard and I'm bringing forward a mastermind class on setting boundaries, having your own personal unstoppable boundaries. Why boundaries are important? What do boundaries give us? Why we are not able to have boundaries in our life? Why is there a lack of boundary communication globally? Why are we suffering through emotional abuse, through narcissistic abuse, through different types of abuses? Is coming from a lack in self, and a lack of self is coming from a lot of things, especially starting from your childhood. But one of the things that we can do as adults is take our power back, and we take our power back by setting boundaries. Boundaries are so essential. So that's about it. I have my guest. Let's bring her in and let's start our conversation. So stay tuned for the on unstoppable boundaries. I will be sharing the link pretty soon when I'm just connecting with her. There she is. Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How about yourself? How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Okay, so before we dive into your story, let me set my mic. Just a little self introduction for the audience, where who you are, where you're from, just a little bit, and then we'll dive in our conversation.
Okay, so my name is Angela Penny, and I live in the US, in Massachusetts. I grew up in Connecticut, and a couple of years ago, I got out of a really abusive relationship. Um, and I just went on this healing journey after that, just a lot of self-discovery about my past, and where I came from and how I got there. And there was some magic involved along the way.
There's always magic once you find who you are. There is so much magic that we try to look for magic outside of ourselves, actually, but the magic is right in within us, right?
It
So,
is.
Angelina, let's start. How many years ago was this abusive relationship or marriage took place?
So the relationship ended July July 26th of 2019, and
Okay,
it only lasted 7 months.
okay. Okay. So where did you meet? And so share it. Where did you meet? How did it happen? And when did you pick up that something was off?
Well, I joined a dating site. I had been trying uh, dating sites for 15 years and nothing was really working as far as meeting a potential healthy partner. And I trusted the judgment of a friend who I realized I shouldn't have. And
Mm,
I went on Tinder and met someone from there. So he was into puppetry and magic and was a musician. So all of that seemed enticing because I'm an artist and I wanted to be with somebody who's creative, who
mm,
understands what the creative flow is like, and
mm,
just shares an interest in the arts in general. Um, but then I realized that was not enough. That was not
mm.
enough.
Interesting. 7 months, right? So before that, did you have any other relationships that were toxic or narcissistic, or is it just this one specific one that you want to talk about?
No, this was the most pivotal in changing my
Okay.
perception on life.
Okay.
But when I did a lot of self reflection, I realized that was geared, I was programmed towards, you know,
Attracting the wrong kind of people
attracting,
into you. Yeah,
yes. And that was because of my childhood upbringing.
absolutely. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So before this person, how many relationships did you go through that were toxic or abusive?
Too many to count.
Oh my gosh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I I think in the 20 years that I've been, dating and being in relationships, there are probably only two or three men in my life that, you know, that came into my life briefly who I met who seemed pretty normal, and I didn't have that instantaneous spark, which
Hmm.
is what pulled me away from them. And that
Hmm.
I realize is the way to go, because that whole fairy tale falling in love idea, that's not smart.
Hmm.
Save that for Disney.
It gets
That's
old after a while, doesn't it? Love goes away and reality comes up, and then you're like, oh, this is not the person I wanted to be with or spend my life with, or stuff like that.
Well, I think the thing is we have that instantaneous attraction with somebody. That's what pulls us in, but
Hmm.
that's not what's going to keep us there. And
Hmm.
we don't see all of, sorry, my
That's
cat.
all right. It's okay.
um, so we miss all those red flags, when
Hmm.
we're in that in love stage within,
Hmm.
the first few months. We ignore a lot of red flags because we feel so passionately about this person, and we
Hmm.
just want to make things work with them and, build a life with them. So we're willing to give up a lot of ourselves if we are not taking the time, to slowly build a friendship with,
Right.
a trusting relationship that we can grow into.
Right, right. That makes sense. And you see, one of the things I think is love is such a strong emotion, and one of the things that I think
Oh,
we've
wait,
lacked. Oops.
sorry. My cats are apparently upset that I'm having this conversation with you, so they're into everything right now.
That's all right. So I was talking about the fact that I think, and this is one of the things I've been contemplating a lot lately, is that one of the fact about love, love is such a strong emotion we all feel, right? But one of the things that has the society has lacked to teach us is how are we going to channel that love? Because you see, you go out and you see this person, and then you feel this strong attraction, and then sometimes we mix it with love, and sometimes the attraction is so strong that we get pulled in it. Now the thing is, if we as younger beings were taught that it's an emotion, it's a feeling. You could feel that, but you don't have to act on that, right? Every emotion and feeling does not come because we have to act on them, right? We're not animals, we're humans, and we have to learn to master our emotions. Know that we hold the power to control our emotions, not the other way around, right? And I think that lack of understanding, that lack of uh, educating ourselves on how are we going to use our emotions has caused us a lot of pain, especially in intimate relationships, because the attraction is there, and I've seen it with myself also. You see this attraction, you're attracted to this person, and you get sucked in, and then one day you wake up, you say it was just attraction, there was nothing common, there were so many red flags, but that one emotion of attraction took over everything, right?
Right. Well, I think for most of us who grew up in toxic family systems, like for me, it was both my parents are narcissists. So
Oh, okay.
you are just programmed. You are being raised
Right, right,
in
yes,
this environment that has you set up for toxic family systems down the line. Um,
yes, right.
so, we learn from our parents, we learn from our guardians, our immediate surroundings,
Mm,
um, because that's all we know.
absolutely.
They're
Right,
gods and
right,
everything.
right,
So we
right,
absorb all of that. Um,
yes. The
so parents,
dysfunctional family system, the generational trauma, it's all that gets into us. We absorb it. We're like sponges when we're young, we absorb it. One day we wake up, if we're lucky enough to have our awakening, like you and me, we realize, bang, that was not me. None of that was the real me. We were just programmed, we were just conditioned to believe that this is our reality, this is how relationships are supposed to be. And then you start to second guess yourself, and then the story goes on. I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about you. So let's talk about these 7 months. What happened in these 7 months with this particular person that pushed you to come to rock bottom and find yourself through your healing and your self reflection?
okay. Well, so previous to that, I had ended an unhealthy relationship with somebody who I dated this guy for a year, and then we decided we were going to move in together. At the time, we were both living with our parents. Just I was starting over from another bad relationship that I was in. I was really low in the other one as well. Um,
Mm,
so basically, I was looking to start over. Staying with my parents, I was really depressed. I was staying in bed late on the weekends, and just trying to get out and avoid being around my parents as much as possible. So,
mm,
I wanted to see if the relationship would start with this guy. And after 6 months of planning to move in together, he went and spent the money that we were supposed to move in together on some bills, and without having a conversation with me first, without even just saying, okay, I'm not ready, or like I'm just need more time or whatever. But I was at that point where I was on a deadline. So I felt like I was forced to move into another bad situation with someone. And as it turns out, the roommate, the person that I moved in with, he had has bipolar disorder, and I do believe he has a high sense of narcissism. From what he has shown me, he retaliated. So I went from one bad situation to another for a good
mm,
5 years, and so this guy was basically, retaliating, staying up late, being loud, purposely like throwing my mail on the floor when he knew that I had a bad back. I have fibromyalgia, and I was cleaning his condo every single weekend. I was using my free time to keep his place clean because it looked like I was living with a hoarder. So he wouldn't take care of his environment, and he wasn't even working. Um, so he was definitely taking advantage of my kindness. And so I had eventually had to move out of there because of that toxic environment. Um, so while I was living with this guy, I started dating my ex that basically changed everything for me. And I was doing a lot of traveling. He didn't have a car. He was living with his father, but at first he wouldn't tell me where he was living. And, he didn't have a job. He said he was in between jobs, and he had a daughter who was 3, who he actually hadn't seen in 3 years since she was born. So right there, knowing that off the bat, that was a red flag that I
Yeah.
ignored. I just wanted to make a connection with somebody. He showed interest in me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not where I want to be in life, so I'm going to give this person a chance. Maybe we can grow
Right.
together. I
Right.
didn't
You were in
know
a
that.
bad spot, right? And it was a
Yeah,
vulnerable moment
and
for you, right?
and I didn't know that he didn't have good intentions. You
Right.
know, I
Mm.
I saw a lot of things that maybe now, I should have played things out a lot differently.
Mm.
So, in April of 2019 is when I had to move, and I was really struggling with, do I stay in Connecticut or do I go to Massachusetts? Because eventually I wanted to end up in Western Mass around the Northampton area. I just really love the vibe there, and it's always been my favorite place to go. It's a college town. It's, very like culturally diverse and very artsy, and so that's where I saw myself one day. So I decided to move out to Massachusetts, and I said, if this relationship doesn't work, at least I'll be closer to where I want to be. um, so I had, for financial reasons, I had to move in with this guy, and right before we started.
We have five
Right.
gums, no more gums of that. Sorry, sorry.
Okay.
That's my son.
All right.
Yes.
So, right before we moved in together, I started noticing things were wrong. They didn't feel right at all. And before we moved in together, he got a job. He started working and everything. Um, and so I was not intending on moving in with him. I had a roommate lined up, and then last minute the roommate ghosted me. He just wanted me to do all the work to find the apartment, and he wasn't going to do anything.
Oh.
And then, so I was left with no choice other than to rely on this person to be
Mm,
financially responsible with me.
mm, mm.
Um, so right before, when we finally decided to move in together, he quit his job, but he told me he got fired. So
Oh.
yeah, he had called out one time. Now, I had been going to work on little sleep. I was sacrificing a lot of myself. I would stay with him at his dad's place on the weekends, and I wasn't able to sleep at, at home in my own bed. I could, but not over there. So to me,
Okay.
that should have been another warning sign that,
Mm,
self care, I shouldn't be there.
mm,
Um, but I kept going. I, would like be on like 3 days of no sleep at a time and still drive to work. But he called out of work just because he got 6 hours of sleep.
mm.
So, he quit his job right before we moved in together, and offered to give me some money from his last paycheck, and was trying to get me to cash it when he knew that I wouldn't be able to.
Oh.
Um, and then, we had problems from living together after the first week. He went out to the bar. He said he didn't have money, but, he did an event, a puppet show downtown, and he knew that I needed him to come home afterwards, because I was planning a housewarming dinner with my friends who had helped me move. I was cooking for them. And he wanted me to go pick him up. And I said, no,
Right.
I don't have time. I told you I was going to do all these other things. So he just takes off, doesn't tell me where he's going. Um, Eventually he tells me that he's going to bar with some friends. And then he said that his battery on his phone was dying. Um, so I have no idea where he is, who he's with, what he's up to. So he just takes off and doesn't come back until really late at night and makes all this noise when he comes in. A week later, I find a text from a woman saying that she hopes that their meeting wasn't awkward for him, and something about a magic trick, probably the same magic trick he showed me when
Mm,
we went out on our first or second date.
mm,
Um so it just got worse from there. I kept having a lot of problems with him lying to me. He would tell me that he was going to give me money for rent, and then he would spend it on something else. And then he would gaslight me, just basically the whole narcissistic spiel.
Cystic. Yeah, we
Yeah,
all know that.
a lot of us, but not everybody.
Yes, true.
Like, more people need to know what
Absolutely.
entails in a narcissistic relationship,
Mm,
because sometimes it can look so normal from the
mm,
outside, and
mm.
they hide these behaviors behind closed doors. They want to make themselves look like they're very important people, that they're
And they're
good,
the victims.
they're kind and caring, and
Hmm.
yes, they are the victims, and they
Hmm.
will keep pushing your buttons and pushing your buttons until you react. And I saw all of these behaviors. He From the moment that we moved in, he was devaluing me. He was giving me the silent treatment. I would come home from work, and he said he was looking for jobs and everything, but he wouldn't look at me. He would say hi, but then he wouldn't look at me. I would sit down next to him on the couch. He wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't touch me. He would act like I was invisible, just like the
Mm,
way I said my mother treated me in front of guests at family dinners. You know,
mm,
always interrupting my conversation when I was trying to speak about something that I felt like I that maybe she thought uh, my discussions weren't important because they weren't of the same value to her. Um,
mm,
so she tried to shut my voice up many times throughout my life.
mm,
Including the ability to recognize that what I was experiencing with my parents was abuse and to speak it out. I wasn't able to tell people exactly that this is what it was.
mm.
So
Yeah.
I am digressing back into childhood, but my
Right.
just for a brief moment. So my father is an alcoholic and a narcissist, and it goes back to his family history as well. His father was the same, abusive,
Right.
cheating and everything, and physically abusive. And so my father was physically abusive with me as well a few times,
Oh.
and just forceful in general, um, and emotionally neglectful. You can expect that with any narcissist,
Right.
because
Right. Mm,
they cannot tap into what you're feeling.
mm,
Um, so I was constantly seeking relationships with people like this. But anyway, so eventually, after a month of living together with this guy, I realized it was getting really bad. I was suicidal, and I was still going to work. I wasn't going to let him destroy, you know, the financial stability I was trying to create for myself. Um, so, I started doing some investigating, saw that he was hiding things behind my back. Whenever I had the chance, I was going on his tablet, and he had two cell phones. Neither one he had a paid plan or anything. He was just using them free out off of Wi-Fi that I provided. And he was talking to other women all the time, flirting with them. He would send them the same like emoticons that he would send me through Facebook Messenger. He would let me know that he was trying to be a shoulder to cry on for this other woman who had lost her friend. He was making plans to hang out with other females that he never had any discussion with me about. And he was having an online relationship with another woman in Tennessee. And they would have video chats. And, eventually I caught on to everything. I even said the words, "Nothing is ever enough for you," because I would try to make him happy. I would try to encourage him to follow his, interests, despite how he was hurting and disrespecting me. And, he just wasn't changing. And I could see
Right.
I was getting really obsessive about what he was keeping behind my back, what he was hiding from me. So, I mean, I saw a lot of things that really broke my heart. Um, and, that if authorities knew he was looking at, he would be held accountable and go to prison for. Um, but they refused to take me seriously because it's hard to track all of the, online stuff.
Right.
And so
So
when I
I wanted to
confronted,
stop you there and just ask you something. Now that you're sharing your story, right, and now you're talking about you, right? You're telling what you were going through, what was happening. When you look back at yourself while narrating the story, what do you think was going like right now? I know what you're thinking and what you should have done because now you're more aware of everything, right? But in this moment, when you look back at the old you, what do you think the old you was thinking when she was knowing everything, but she was still choosing to stay? What was going in that person's head at that point? What was going in your head at that time, which was making you stay or find more loops and holes on, okay, what is he doing? I'm going to check this. And like, like now I know if somebody's cheating, you'll say, okay, I'm not going to take that shit. Get out of my life right now, right? You won't give them another chance because now you're different. You're a new you. But the old you was giving him, you were getting a lot of things. You were getting the silent treatment. There was no intimacy. He was, drifting apart. What were you feeling then? What were your feelings? What were your emotions? What was going inside of your head at that point, which was keeping you in that relationship?
well, I was financially stuck. I
Okay.
I could afford most of the expense, but not all of it. Um,
Okay.
and then I was grateful to get a raise, a substantial raise, at that point. So eventually, I was making just enough where I could scrape by. But I had all these medical bills from my past mental health history because of my childhood
Right.
abuse.
Mm,
So he knew my plan was to try to save some money by living with somebody so I could pay off those bills. And my credit score dropped 200 points just living with him for
mm,
3 months,
mm,
because I was so wrapped up in his abuse. But, um, I felt worthless. I felt like he didn't respect me or value me. I saw that he was always seeking attention from other women.
mm,
And I'd see that there were like these cycles of, just these patterns that we were going through. And he was following thousands and thousands of people on Instagram. And I'm like, who has time for, all of that? Um,
mm,
but of course he wasn't, working. He had a job on the side, for a short time. but I just felt like, and I know for a lot of women, especially who have children, they feel like they can't leave for financial reasons. But I will
Right.
tell you that they need to. They need to
Right.
stop making excuses, and leave, because by staying in those relationships, those kids are picking up on all those behaviors from both
Mm.
parents. And
Mm.
what I learned from my parents is that I felt like my mother didn't love me. I know my parents don't know how to love, um, but I felt like I never had that bond. And um, my mother didn't protect me. She didn't stand up and protect me when she knew my father had his, I told her that he was choking me, um, when I was a teenager. And she didn't take that seriously when my parents would argue and my father would threaten to kill her, probably hundreds of times over the years. She never took that seriously. She just brushed it off. So that was teaching me that, oh, none of that stuff is
Yeah.
not a big deal. Just don't pay
Mm. It's
attention
not a
to
big.
it. It's idle
Right.
threats,
Mm.
it's not real. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, and it affected my mental health.
Yeah.
I wasn't valued. I grew up wishing that I wasn't even alive. So from what I have learned, that actually makes your view of the world myopic. That causes brain damage.
Mm.
So it puts you in a totally different perspective than a healthy relationship and a healthy upbringing, family dynamic. You want to grow, you want to explore the world. I didn't want to. I
Mm.
wanted to not exist because
Mm.
of how my parents were treating me. My feelings, my opinions didn't matter. They were not valid. Anytime that I said that I was having physical pain as an adult, oh, it's just in your mind. But it was okay that my mother has arthritis and for her to complain, but because it's not her, that means it's not real. And
Mm.
unfortunately, in my place of employment, I've experienced a lot of secondary abuse. Um, because I try to connect with people that I work with. I'm trying to build like friendships because I see that all these other people are friends outside of work. And, because of my PTSD and chronic health issues, some people are just not emotionally mature enough to understand, that abuse causes physical and mental illness, and it affects us
My
in a
gun
lot of
was
different ways.
for my pants. That's green.
And it doesn't mean that we're stupid if we don't respond
Right.
or act in a certain way.
Right.
But I've been bullied for having PTSD, when the reason why I was being bullied for had nothing to do with my PTSD. It had something to do with my
Hmm.
fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. Um, so I actually have a hormone deficiency that doctors think, is probably due to stress. So that is part of what's causing my fatigue. And I do believe that the insomnia that I've had over the years, is a contributing factor to my fibromyalgia. So, we're not just talking about abuse stories, but we're talking about the effects of what it has
Facts. Yeah.
on the human mind
Mm.
and body. So it goes so much deeper than
It
just the
does. Mm.
relationships and functioning in daily life. Um,
Yes. Absolutely.
so
Yes.
when we, I just think that when we start choosing ourselves, when it gets to that final moment, whether it's like, okay,
And you
am
hit
I
rock
worth it or
bottom,
not?
right? Right.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I already had a suicide plan when I was with my ex. I had sleeping medication that I crushed, that I had read gets absorbed into your body a lot faster that way. And I had about 75 of those tablets ready to go. I just took a hammer to them, put them in a container, put them under my pillow. And I was trying to plan my escape. And I was afraid to leave because of my cats. I knew my ex would just let them loose outside, and people would not know what happened to me, what the real truth was. I mean, I was telling friends at the time along the way the things that were happening, and unfortunately I was reaching out to my coworkers who were bullying me because I was reacting to abuse. And I was crying at work, having panic attacks, and I was being treated poorly when I had never tried to offend any of my coworkers, or I was never rude to them. But I was under so much immense stress. I would go into the bathroom and cry, and then all of a sudden, because I walked out so that I could have 10 minutes to cry, the pharmacist that I worked with created a bathroom log. So we had to write down the times when we're in and out of the bathroom. It was like, you know, they knew what was going on, yet they were making me look like I was the problem. And yes, from a different perspective, it may have looked that way. But I was trying to get help. I was trying to get somebody, you know, without
Yeah.
directly saying something. Because I didn't know that I was in a relationship with a narcissist. I understood it wasn't healthy. Just I just didn't have all of the words, the
Right,
language, the
absolutely. Yeah,
understanding
exactly.
until I was out and someone said, "Hey, please look this up." And so, you know, so before the narcissist I was with attacked me, I had to start deciding, you know, I was weighing my options. I had, you know, a conversation with him about everything, and he just, you know, oh, maybe I need to go to therapy, blah, blah, blah. So we did that, went to like one session, and he was avoiding going to the rest. So, you know, I was trying to see if he would be held accountable to make things work, but it wasn't. And so even though I was at my lowest, something inside of me just told me that, you know, I am not this horrible person, and I do not deserve to be treated this way. That, you know, I have my family, my cat family. They've been with me for such a long time. They're such a great love and support, that I can't leave them.
Right.
And you know, my ex, even though he only attacked me once, and that he was scary in a lot of passive ways. He was trying to convince me to kill myself, with extreme passive aggression, in only ways that I would know. And if I told people that he was related to, they would probably think I'm crazy because they don't actually know me. And that's how they isolate you as well.
Yes. Yeah.
They just try to bring you into their world. They move you away so that, you know, all these people can just make assumptions about you when they don't know your true self.
Yeah.
And they're only seeing everything from the outside once again. So, yeah, he was very scary in a lot of ways that were not violent. But
But you see, it doesn't
you
have
know,
to, it doesn't
when I
have to get violent for you. It doesn't have to get violent for us to realize that, oh, now we need to walk away. When you see our bodies communicate, you know, when you and I talk, when you come live for the first time with anyone, when I share this space, we get this vibe, right? And our bodies communicate and tell this person is hurt, this person is feeling negative today, because you feel that vibe. And I'm sure you can relate to it as well, because now you're pretty aware about yourself. And that's your body already warning you that this person is not right for you, but we ignore it. Oh, maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe then we get inside of our heads and make up this story because we want to be with the person or whatever the reason is. So I think if we could just take a step back, and if you meet somebody new but something is off, something in your body is saying it's off, just take that signal as a signal and just say, you know what, this is, and that person doesn't have to be bad. Maybe that person just not right for you. Guys won't click, you know. So if your body is telling you, if your gut is talking to you and saying something, just listen to it, you know. Don't shut yourself down, because we've been brought up, like you said, conditioned to believe that no, you're worthless, you're not enough, you have to prove your worth, so you have to be the people pleaser, and you know, all that story. So I think for us, and that's what I do, I always show up, and if I am not getting a good vibe, I never think that this person is bad or this person is toxic or narcissistic or anything, and say, okay, my body is not ready for what this person is bringing in for me at this moment, at this point in my life. So I will talk nicely and then I will walk away. And maybe somewhere down the line we'll meet again and it will be okay. But for right now, and it's become so heightened now, it's with music, it's with everything. I can tell that this music, this song has depressed me. This was the reason. So then you start to know, and that's where the self work comes from, where you peel the layers and you heal yourself. Like you said, you understood that your pain and your trauma was coming from the childhood abuse you've been through, where all the time your mom would make you feel like you were not enough or that you were invisible, that you being a part of that family didn't matter, your voice didn't matter, your opinion didn't matter, and you was always shut down. And you, in your subconscious mind, were brought up thinking that I always have to prove myself. And that's where the people pleasing or going to different extents came uh, into your personality. So anyway, go ahead. You were saying about the torture, that he only got once violent. Yes, the hardest
Okay,
part is to
so
walk away.
no, so just when we're coming down to one of the last days, um, I confronted him about something he was liking on Facebook. It sounds silly when you say it, but he was like hearting all of these women's pictures on Facebook. He was just basically redirecting his attention for me to all these other women. And I had to study his behavior to try to figure out what he was up to. So when I
Mm,
confronted him, he didn't. I told him I didn't believe what he told me, his explanation, and he didn't like that. And he had a temper tantrum, and he picked up I was on my bed watching a movie, and he picked up my tablet and like, like tossed it across the room, and it hit the wall.
mm,
And I knew that if he was going to do something like that, I was not safe around him. Um, so I did get up to protect myself, and I just immediately thought I had to get him out of the room to keep myself safe. So, that was my intent. But, I never laid a hand on him. I did grab his t-shirt, and then he stepped back and then ripped his own t-shirt, put his hands on my arms, left bruises on my arms. They were there for 21 days. Then proceeded to put me in a headlock when he knew that my father had choked me. He knew about all of my past, so he was using everything against me on purpose to bring me down and just to make me wither away into nothing.
mm,
Um, so, he proceeded to, I argued with him, and then he let me go. And he proceeded to tell me that if he were to call the police, they would have me arrested. So, but
mm,
I didn't
interesting.
even know I had marks, red marks of like behind my neck. different places in my body and some minor bruising other than what was on my arms. I was in shock. I didn't even know I had those marks on my body for 2 days, like a day or two, because I was in panic mode. I knew that I had to get help. I knew that I had to get him out of the apartment. So I was figuring all of that out. And I went to stay with a friend. I brought my cats immediately. That was the first thing, because I knew based off of things that he had said about animals that he didn't care. He even laughed one time when there was a dead cat on TV, and that was, yeah, when like a week before he went, before the attack, he actually, he was watching American Horror Story, and one of the seasons, the circus freaks, there was a narcissistic serial killer, a mama's boy living in a mansion who was going around killing people, and they showed a dead cat on the steps of the home, and he started laughing, and that just gave me goosebumps. Like, that is just evil and creepy.
Yeah,
And
that
here
is.
I'm letting him live with me with 3 cats, and I knew that was not safe. I was afraid he was hurting them. My cats were in distress. It's just unreal. I could keep going on and on, which is why,
Yeah, I know.
I'm writing a book about everything that has happened in my life and what I have.
Awesome.
But, it helped me to go on a journey of self-discovery. I went on YouTube and found Lisa Romano, Dana Morningstar, Dr. Romani, so many great people who have been through this and who have come out the other side, and,
Yes.
so much wisdom. So I used that to fuel my healing. And so now I'm a part of all these support groups, and I try to give as much actionable advice as possible. A lot of people are well-meaning in supporting other people, but I think people need to know the steps to take to get out of their situation or to switch their mindset about certain things. So I'm all about sharing that knowledge and giving them resources, telling them what to look up on YouTube, and telling them to try to avoid people who are narcissists on there, who become like these life coaches and write books. So basically, that's the problem. They're on there for the attention. Even though the narcissist may be giving you information that you want, that is literally feeding into their narcissism by focusing your
Mm,
energy onto them. So
mm,
yeah, I'm trying to tell people, get away from that,
mm.
because that's just going to make their ego inflate even higher. You're giving them what they want, and they just have a black hole inside of themselves, and they will keep sucking you dry.
Right, right. So true. It's I think one of the things I do want to add is I know that sometimes it gets hard. I know there might be some people here listening to your podcast, listening to us speaking and being present in that situation. And my thing is that you know when it's right for you to walk away. Uh, and while you might have the information, all the information, you may know that you're stuck with one abusive or a narcissistic person, but somehow you're feeling stuck in, you can't move, you cannot put yourself together to take that step. And it is okay. It's taken her 7 months, it's taken me 9, 10 years, it's taken people 15 years, 26 years. As long as you're aware, and as long as, like she said, you have an actionable plan in place, that is what matters. And if right now you're feeling overwhelmed by taking this step, it's okay. Reach out, find the right people, connect with them, have your support system in place, have the right support system in place. There is no shaming in why you're still there, or why note at the other end. The point is that maybe right now you need more time, you need more information for yourself before you take that step. So don't shame yourself. Don't feel like, oh, she did it, but I can't do it because my reasons are different. I have kids, or this is this. There is always a way out. There is
Right.
always a way out. In fact, there is a way out. You right now listening might be feeling overwhelmed and thinking, getting inside your head, I can't do this because he does this to me. I have these kids, and then I'm not financially independent. You have your own story, right? Everybody has their own story, and we've all been there. We've all been through that road where we thought we cannot be on the other side because of XYZ. We have that reason. You have your reason right now for why you're staying there. For me right now is to tell you that there is always a way. Just take a breath,
Right.
relax, connect with yourself. You will find the way. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after. As long as you just open that path, that there is a way. Do not block yourself from saying there is no way because of the story that you're telling inside your head. The only thing for right now I want you to understand is that, okay, you cannot move, you cannot get out, fine. It's okay, no shaming. But just to write it somewhere and read it every day, there is always a way. And I will find my way. That will lead you to your way. Please do not. I know I do these podcasts, and after that, people DM me all the time. But her story was different. She was financially strong. Her story was different. She didn't have kids. Her story. It doesn't matter. We have so many people in this space who have their story. They have a way. Why
Yeah.
I do this is always to give hope. There are different scenarios, there are different stories. There is a way. So now I've come to a conclusion that because there is so much of DMs coming in after my podcast about people saying, but her story was different. It was easier for her. It looks easier right now because she's made it on the other side. When she was in that, she was about to take her life because she thought there was no freaking way out. So right now, you're not understanding that when she's even narrating it, but you have to just please write this down somewhere and read it every day. I'm sure this is going to help you. There is always a way. I have a way for me out of this. And that will definitely open your perspective to seeing something that you're missing out right now because you are so fogged with abuse and gaslighting and manipulation.
Right. And I think a great way to start self-care, even when you're in an unhealthy relationship, is to go on go on YouTube, start educating yourself about, what toxic relationships look like, what are red flags in relationships, green flags, because when you've been gaslit your whole life, you don't trust your own, your
Yes.
own decisions, your own
Judgment.
thinking.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so start educating yourself, number one. Start learning how to manage it, and then with the gray rock method, and then from there start healing your inner spirit. Put on those headphones and listen to some meditation music before you go to bed. Lay down, just put them in and listen to some
And I
self
want I
love.
want to add something.
Uh,
And I want to add something. You can there's a saying that goes around a lot is that you can't heal in a place that broke you. You can start the healing if you are aware, if it clicks you, okay, something is off in this marriage, something is not right, there, that is your signal. Something is, the button is on, and the healing wants to begin. So you can begin your healing while you're in the environment. Of course, you won't be able to heal completely till you detach yourself, but there's no such thing as you can't heal, you can't start your healing. And
right.
the tools she's giving you, meditation, and I would add journaling. Trust me, start journaling. It's
Yes.
going to do magic. It will bring magic in, because that is going to give you clarity. Right now you don't have clarity because you're gaslighted and you're just living in this bubble of confusion. 2 lines a day, trust me, 3 lines a day, 1 line a day, anything. 2 minutes of
Yeah.
something peaceful. 1 minute, 30 seconds of just sitting quietly, closing the noise up. Do these that they might not seem a lot. They are a lot, because when you add them every day, 30 seconds every day towards the end, they are going to give you that window, that opening where you will see like, bang, that's your moment. I've had it enough. I will no longer be treated like this. I choose not to be treated. That's where you're going to find your moment. And it's really important. Please remember, because it's going on social media. I've shared it myself. Yes, you cannot heal in a place that's broken you, but your healing can begin at that place. It can most definitely begin at that place.
Right. And the most important thing that I can say is choose yourself. When you're in an
Yes.
abusive relationship, unhealthy relationship, toxic relationship, any relationship that you feel like you're being disrespected, put up some boundaries, learn, write down what your boundaries are, figure out what that is, because when you start choosing yourself over that person, you're redirecting your energy onto other things that will serve you better. Focus on yourself, rather than those people, and that will lift your spirits and get you out of a dark place.
Yes, yes. And remember, when if you're reaching out to people, right? One of the things I wanted to shed light on also is when you reach out to someone and you say, "Hey, listen," whether it's a friend, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a family member, whether it's a neighbor, whoever it is, when you reach out and you say something to them and they try to invalidate that for you, red flag. Get away from them. Nuh-uh. They're just going to make it worse for you. They're going to get you back in that confusion cycle where you start self-doubting yourself and thinking that, oh, maybe I am wrong here. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe there's something wrong with me. So, oh, there we go. So I think that it's really important to make sure that when you feel something is off, when you feel something is wrong, and you connect with somebody and they try to belittle you or try to invalidate it for
Invalidate.
you and make it about you, that, oh, you're the problem. You don't go to them the next time. You find somebody in your space who would even not
Right.
even validate, just be there to listen. You just need to take it out for you to process what you're going through. Okay, I will tell her to clean up. Sarah, please clean up. Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, not everyone has the same level of awareness. We're all on a different path here.
Absolutely,
Uh, so
absolutely.
someone else may not understand your journey, and they may not be supportive. They may not be able to relate, and sometimes that can be very frustrating. So we just have to go low contact or no contact with those people,
Yes.
and just delegate who is most important in my life, who's going to be supportive, and stick with those people.
Yes, yes. And it's hard. It is hard because, you yourself have been living that pattern. So for you, just the way for you, you thought those behaviors were okay, but now you have that sense of awareness that no, something is wrong. Maybe, like you said, the other person still not might be there yet. So I think just know that your support system is the right support system. Sometimes you think that people in your inner circle are going to be the right kind of people. Trust me, for me, I had to look outside my inner circle uh, to find that support was through social media. And like you said, there's so many people in this space that I found were amazing. Dr. Annie is one of them, and she's come to my podcast many times. Who, who actually, when I looked, it was like she was looking at me, like right in my face, when she was talking about her journey, about her story, and it's like, oh, this makes sense. This makes sense. And, but my cousin said this, and this person said that. So, you just have to be like, just know that in your space as well.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I when I first started researching narcissism, when I found Lisa Romano, she was reading a letter that somebody had written to her about her family and how she felt, and I started crying, not because I was sad, but because she was sharing my story. Like finally,
Mm.
like somebody was like filling up that blind spot. Like it was like somebody took,
Right.
you know, an eraser and just like erased that black marker off the whiteboard. Um,
Mm.
so, I felt so relieved that it wasn't just me. But, I still deal with the repercussions of PTSD and fibromyalgia and,
Right. Mm.
all of those things, and I'm trying to find a way to make it through to the other side. And it's not easy, you still deal with people who don't understand what you're dealing with. So it's a journey.
It's a journey. People don't want to understand sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah,
people are just not that aware. I've come to the conclusion, being on my side of the world, that sometimes that these people are not bad. They don't want bad for me, but they just don't have, they lack that sense of awareness where I can identify this is wrong. And just
right.
because generational trauma has made it like it's okay, everybody's been through it. No, it's not. I break the cycle, it ends with me. This does not continue. My kids do not live that cycle. So you can call me out, you can call me crazy, whatever you want, but it's not that they're bad or they want bad for me. It's just that now my awareness is at a different level than theirs. So it's just
Right.
having still that having that compassion for them, but knowing your space and knowing where your awareness is at. um, anyway, I'm excited about your book, and talk about that a little bit. When do you think that that will be coming out? It's okay. What happened?
Um, well, I'm still I've been working on the rough draft for the past 2 years, but I have done a lot
Okay.
more writing this year. Um, I'm hoping maybe it'll be another year or two um, before
So
it comes out.
it's a big book of your entire story, right here. The whole story you're writing.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be, it's not just about experiencing the personal abuse, but the secondary from the flying monkeys, from,
Oh
my
yeah. Okay.
my coworkers not being supportive,
Supportive.
when I went to, human resources, people who are supposed to care about these things don't take action. They are
Mm.
not doing their job. They just want to brush it off to the side. And I don't have the energy to fight all these legal battles. So I have to just put my energy towards healing and just telling my story.
Yay. So then that means I will have to bring you back once your book launches, and we'll talk about that in the future as well. I'm wishing you best of luck with your story, with your book. Once you launch it, let me know. I would love to bring you back on my podcast. On this wrap up, final words for people who are right now listening to you, somebody who have embraced their healing, somebody who's feeling stuck, somebody who is on the other side. So overall message for all of them from you.
Well, just know that you have a purpose. You're here for a reason. You're here to help heal those generational traumas, and it's time to start reflecting on our past. Take some serious inventory on your life and start taking better care of your heart and people who you give your energy to. And that can shift a lot of things.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm
Thank
sending you so much love. I hope that her story inspires you, motivates you, and moves you to take action for something that is keeping you stuck. For people, women, men who are listening right now, who are feeling frustrated, who know that they're stuck in an abusive or a narcissistic relationship, take one small actionable step today. Anything, whether that is I'm going to sit 2 minutes alone with me, that is huge. Trust me, that is huge. But do something instead of doing nothing. Just do one thing for yourself. I promise you, and I guarantee you, that is going to open a door to wonders. And like we said in the beginning, to magic in your life. I'm sending you all so much love. Take good care of yourselves. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.